All right, what's up, everybody? I'm so glad that this is back. This is Zero Waste Wednesdays. I'm Ben Kogan, and tonight we have Nina Lassam of Diaperkind and Kaylee Kunkel of Earth and Me. So this show has just is back on the air. It was out on a hiatus for the past 4 months, and I really feel like I have my identity back. I look forward to this every week, and before it was like it's a Wednesday, got to get the show together, got to get the show together, and then we took a hiatus for a little while, and I'm like, what am I doing? But now I feel like I have purpose again, and I'm very happy to be doing this show. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I'm gonna invite Nina and Kaylee on right now. So let's see. Hey, Nina.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, Kaylee. How you doing?
Hello, doing good.
If you guys wouldn't mind just giving like a quick, brief description of both of your companies and what you guys do. Nina, let's start with you.
Sure, happy to. So, my name is Nina and I work at Diaperkind, and we are a cloth diaper service for New Jersey and New York that was founded in 2009. So, we do all of the washing. We pick up and drop off clean diapers every week to families throughout all of the boroughs of New York and throughout New Jersey.
So, fun fact, I was a Diapercon customer. When
Yay!
I lived in New York, our baby, oh man, I'm gonna have a picture ready next time of him in the diaper because that's always a crowd pleaser. Maybe I'll try to find it before the end of the show. But that's how I heard about it. I use the service myself. Kaylee, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Kaylee. I founded Earth and Me in summer of 2020, and we are Queens' first zero waste store. We've got a brick and mortar space on Steinway Street in Astoria, and we sell a bunch of awesome zero waste, low waste products, mostly made by women and small batch businesses.
So let me ask both of you: is this like past your bedtime? Like, what do you guys think about the timing here?
It's okay. I mean, I've got two kids, so 9 o'clock is kind of when my evening gets started. So it's good for me.
Yeah, I'm usually like leave the store by like 8 p.m. and then I just start my night. So I will be up for a few hours at least.
All right, that's good because I was like worried, like, oh, maybe show is gonna be too late. Because before it was on Instagram and it was at 7:30, and I was always like shoving food down my face like so quickly, and I'd have to sing right after it. It wasn't great, but yeah, I think it's better because it's like yeah, same thing with like with my son Theo, Nina, is that like he goes to bed at like 7:30, and then 9 o'clock is like a good time because you can like I can eat and chill out a little bit.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors tonight. Nina of Diapercon is one sponsor, so thank you very much for sponsoring the show. You're one of the reasons it's back on the air, so I really appreciate that. I have purpose in my life again. I can really go ahead and do Wednesday nights. I also want to give a shout out to Stowe Cider. They're sending me a care package fairly soon, but anyone that's a sponsor on the show, there's a pretty high bar. It's like you have to be like involved in reuse in some way. So like if ExxonMobil came on like one of the sponsors of the show, I would say no. They're like the opposite of the good guys. They're like more or less single-handedly responsible for climate change, and then keep trying to suppress it for years till this day. It's still happening. So anyway, ExxonMobil's not invited, Chevron's not invited, but Diapercon's invited, and so is Stowe Cider. And the reason why Stowe Cider is part of it is that they're part of the can carrier program that's in Vermont that I started with my friend Rob Van Dennebiel from Eco Friendly Beer Drinker. So have you guys ever seen? Do either of you drink at all? Do you drink beer or cider? Okay. So have you seen these things before?
Yeah, yep.
So, ugh, just a second. So on there it says, I don't know if you can see it. Can I see? I'll just read it to you. It says on there 100% recycled HDPE. So HDPE is number two plastic, and it has a lot of value. So this is made of 100% recycled material. So far, so good. But it also says on here 100% recyclable. This doesn't really check out. These are not actually getting recycled. So for reasons that I guess I'll get into on here, because I feel like anyone that's watching this has got to be a bit of a zero waste nut, is that that when it goes to the MRF, which is the place, like in New York, it goes to Sims. All the recycling goes, well, the metal, glass, and plastic goes to one location called Sims, which is in Sunset Park. And then the paper goes to a paper mill in Staten Island. So all the plastic goes to Sims in Sunset Park. And when they have to sort, because there's 7 different types of plastic, which I'm not going to test you on tonight, but next week I may be doing some testing, is that these they can't sort them that well because they have this hole in it. Part of it, when it goes in on the conveyor belts, it goes like, so it's on the conveyor belt, right? And then to sift through some of the plastic, it blows air through it, and then the air can like blow right through here, so it's not getting detected. Anyway, we all know the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. We really need to focus on reduce and reuse. Recycling isn't even really that important. Like, we really just need to spend time focusing on reuse, because we spent the last 30 years just focusing on recycling and not focusing on the first 2. I realize this is a long-winded answer for why they're a sponsor, but it's interesting, I promise, is that we started this program in Vermont that you can bring this back to, bring it back to Stowe Cider. You can bring it back to like 13 different locations in the Burlington area, and they will either reuse them themselves, and if they can't reuse it, they will they will get it to someone who can. And so this way, like, you're just reusing it. So anytime I can get involved in making a reuse program happen, I am there, and I'm wanting to promote that. So Stowe Cider, thank you for being part of this can carrier program and keeping these out of recycling and landfill.
Nice. It's a good excuse to go get some more beer too.
It is. It always is a pretty good excuse. And hopefully I want to bring it to New York, and maybe when I bring it to New York, you could be a collection point.
A drop-off site. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And you're in Queens. Is anyone in Astoria? Like any breweries over there?
Nearby our store, no, but definitely in Astoria we would have some people I'm sure would be interested.
Cool. Well, let's keep that conversation going. Do you mind if I play a song for you two?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. This is a song I wrote called Down We Go. And it's about how I felt about humanity before Reusable Solutions. I've met all these great people. Here we go. What's it mean to be broken? What's it mean to be whole? This way that we've chosen, what's it say about our soul? All these systems are connected. One break will start a chain. This golden idol we've elected, there's no one strong enough to challenge his reign. There's plastic mountains in the oceans. What have we done to this place? It's fatal theory put in motion. How do you fix the human race? Down and down we go, feel it's going down and down we go. Down and down we go, feel it's going down and down we go. So this is the home of the brave, from sea to dying sea. We hear the madman rave, prophet philosophy. You can make the fortune of a king, make it cheap and sell it high. You build a bird with a broken wing, forces everyone to buy in, buy in. Big box store, you find the best deal. Tax is nothing of the true cost. It's heated up, they deny it's real. No gain will cover this loss. Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. Eagles falling from the skies, stained in black, these stars and stripes. Eagles falling from the skies. How long till we realize? Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. All right, thank you guys so much. Very, very nice, very nice. Thanks for listening. Glad we have some familiar faces here. So we like to do this with a coin toss. So per tradition, Nina, your heads. Kaylee, your tails.
Let's go.
It is tails. That means Kaylee, you're first. You're in the hot seat.
Let's go.
All right, so Kay, let's start. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dubuque, Iowa, heart of the country. I grew up on the Mississippi River, so we'd always go out on the bluffs. My dad would always take me hiking, catching frogs and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a cool place to grow up, small town, but I really loved all the access to nature, and I definitely miss it here in New York City.
Is it like mostly cornfields? Sorry, is that like insulting? I'm sorry.
No, it's true. We also have like skyscrapers and buildings and things like that, but there's a lot of corn.
Where is Dubuque, Iowa?
Dubuque is on the eastern tip of Iowa, so if you kind of stand on the bluff, you can actually see Wisconsin and Illinois over the river.
Okay.
Right on the edge, yeah.
And then you're in New York now, right? So how'd you end up in New York?
Yeah, I kind of like small town, bigger town, bigger town. I went
What
to
was in between?
Des Moines, which is the
Okay.
capital. Yeah, I went to college in Des Moines, met my partner there, and then once we graduated, we wanted to move out here. So that's what happened. We packed up our car and my dog and all of our stuff, and we just drove.
And so, okay, you went to University of Iowa, and then you went, and you were there for 4 years or so. Is that
Yep, I went to Drake University. My partner went to Iowa State, but yeah, we met
okay?
there. Yep.
And
Yes.
then, then what happened? So you met there, and then you like right after school, you're like, we're going to New York City. Was that how it worked?
He went to school for architecture, so he actually was looking for jobs out here, and he put on his resume that he currently resided in New York City to help him get the job. Fortunately, he got a job. Unfortunately, they're like, you start on Monday, and we were still looking. So we literally just like ransacked our whole lives and like uprooted and just left. It was a good way to do it because I had no time to second guess.
So did he show up that Monday?
Yeah. We were like sleeping in an Airbnb and we just never left.
Wow. And how long ago was that?
7 years.
Oh, okay. So you're like get almost a real New Yorker. You got 3 more years to go.
Made it through 2 years of the pandemic in like a 1-bedroom apartment. So I feel like that if anything's going to make me a real New Yorker, that's got to be it.
And what was your first place in New York?
I lived in Bushwick
Okay.
and then kind of bopped around and landed in Astoria. I had some friends living here and they're like, it's the best place. And I was like, okay. So I tried it and I was like, it is the best place. So opened the store, a few things in between, but then opened the store. Now I live in Jackson Heights, Queens. So I'm here for the long haul.
So wait, Astoria. How long were you in Bushwick before you moved to Astoria?
Ooh, probably like I did like a year or two in Brooklyn and another year in Lower East Side, and then after that. So I've been here like 4 years in Queens.
Okay. And so, like, why? So you went to Queens because your friend was like, "You got to move here."
Yeah, I actually sort of in the interim of all of that, I ended up on an accidental solo trip in Europe, a trip that was supposed to be with a family member who ended up not being able to make it. So I got really hooked on solo travel. And it was kind of like a pivotal time in my life. So when I came back, I thought, okay, it's time to just do that again. So I left for a couple months and kind of started like my minimalism journey through that too, carrying like a backpack with like 5 pairs of, or five like units of clothing for like 2 months, type of thing. And when I came back, my partner had moved into his own place in Queens, so I just kind of squatted for a while and then realized it was the real deal.
How did tell us more about the solo journey? This sounds very interesting. Where'd you go? And
Yeah, I did. I think I did 14 countries,
wow.
all in Europe. Yeah, I did it so quick. Like I would spend like 3 to 5 days in each like country, and on to the next. And I slept in like eight to $25 a night hostels, like 16 bunks. Like all the people. This was before COVID when we weren't thinking about that kind of thing. Yeah, it was like the best time of my life. I just wore my shoes down. I walked like 15 miles a day and just learned so much, and it was really awesome. I mean, it was hard at times. It was a little scary and lonely, but it was really like a monumental thing.
Did you do a lot of reading?
I did. I tried to buy books that were from the country, like written, authored in the country that I was in at the time. Don't quiz me on it because I don't think I could
Uh,
remember all of that, but I did.
what inspired you to go on this trip?
Kind of at a crossroads, like as with most things, like I don't know. I think in your mid 20s when you have that sort of like midlife crisis and you're like, what am I doing? And I was like in the middle of we were like my partner and I had broken up for a little bit, and I had just moved into a new place and couldn't afford it and was walking dogs like 24/7, and just my mental health wasn't great. So I thought it would be a good time to kind of try something new.
So this was pre-Earth and Me, right?
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing for work then?
For a while, I was freelancing marketing. I did a lot of marketing, writing, blogging, social media strategy. I was working in marketing for my whole career until Earth and Me. Actually, I was a marketing director, and then I got let go in 2020, the pandemic, and then totally changed my whole life.
Wow. Did you like, so why did you end up starting this store? How'd you end up saying like, oh, I'm gonna just open up a storefront in New York City?
There's like a long story and a short
I think
story.
we want the long story.
Well, they both exist in tandem. So the long story is like I grew up, in the Mississippi River and like very embedded in nature, and always was like a had a soft spot for animals, and we had like every manner of like pet coming and go from my house. So like I've always been a big like nature person. Um, I went to school for journalism, which kind of led to a lot of critical thinking about like government and the world and the state of politics. And I took a few environmental policy classes and became more liberal as the years went on. And so that really endeared me to learning more about climate change, read a lot of books. Um, and then through the course of the pandemic, we were in lockdown, and I was way more focused on like what was coming in and out of my home. This was when we were like
Hmm.
sanitizing our groceries, and someone got me a book for my birthday that was like a living simply kind of book where it's like every recipe for how to make things yourself, like cleaners and lotions and all kinds of things. I started doing that, just trying to think to be more self-sufficient when things were, sold out and the grocery stores were nuts. And that just kind of led me on a little hunt to see like who else is making these products, where can I get these? And I realized I couldn't really get them locally.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the long answer. The short answer is genuinely that I just woke up one day and I listed like I just gotten fired. I was like, what do I want to do? I listed like supporting small business and supporting women and nature and environment and all these things. And then I just went like, I know exactly what I want to do. And I just came out and told my partner, Sam, I was like, I'm going to open a store. And he's like, what? And then I just did it. So it happened quickly, but it was kind of like a lifetime of inspiration.
Did like had you seen some of the like this model before of like a refillery, or it just kind of happened spontaneously?
Yeah, the refilleries are very common in Europe and in
Mm,
Canada. There's a lot too, and like even the West Coast, like California's got a bunch, and Pacific Northwest. But we really don't have a lot here. And we did have, package free, which is I was always kind of aware of in Brooklyn, but then they closed their brick and mortar location. So um, when I opened up I started doing pop ups originally and like doing things out of my apartment for a while to test the idea. And people were coming from every single borough. I had people come from the Bronx, Manhattan,
mm.
like all over the place. People would drive an hour just to do the refills or take the train. So
Mhm.
definitely, like we need more. We need more stores like mine.
What's like how do people walk out with like all this? Like they're taking the train from like the Bronx. Like what kind of fancy machinery are they bringing with them?
Yeah, there's tactics. There's like the hold it all in your arms and just like hope you don't break anything. And there's like I have like 3 tote bags and more tote bags in the bags, and I'm like ready to go.
Do
Yeah,
you
a lot
guys?
of people. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you guys deliver?
We don't. For a while, I was delivering. It just wasn't feasible. But we just became active on Uber Corner Shop. This is our announcement of that, I guess.
Oh, hey, congrats! Woo! I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know.
so
I don't really know what that means, but it sounds exciting.
it's basically like Uber Eats, but for like local business.
Okay.
Well, Uber Eats is also local, but it's for like retail and stuff. So,
Uh-huh.
so you can grab eco-friendly stuff on Uber Eats.
This is the first show, so I don't have all like the tech stuff down, but like next time we do this, like we can have like a little banner that like goes down at the bottom that says like, now on Uber Eats, like order on Uber Eats. There is
Yeah,
something I can do that, but I don't want to distract from the show. But next
yeah,
time we can
that
get
would be
these.
fancy.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what is a zero waste store? What happens in there?
So everything that we have is curated very thoughtfully to be, readily refillable in our refill station or recyclable. So the materials are like aluminum or glass jars. We really stay away from like any plastic if possible. So there's different categories of items. There's things that are like zero waste swaps. So like instead of using saran wrap, you would use like a beeswax wrap, for example.
Mhm.
We have different swaps for things like sponges and different cleaners and things like that. And then we've also got like, here's an example that I have right here, things that are just packaged, like nice home goods packaged in like refillable or reusable or recyclable packaging. So again, recycling is not the best thing that we can do, but we have a cool program where folks can bring in any empty glass bottles that they get at our store and donate them, and they get reused very quickly in our refill station by other people who say forget a bottle or they don't have a bottle that they want to use.
Oh, so if someone, okay, so you forget to bring in a bottle, there's like a little like donate bin that people can just grab one of those to
Yep.
fill up
So
their
it's kind of
stuff.
like a miniature like circular economy. I saw you shared something today, Ben, that
Uh-huh.
was like the different like why don't we just instead of like recycling, why don't we just clean and
Yeah.
reuse?
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
It's like the infrastructure for recycling from a like engineering standpoint is really fascinating. Like, we have all these machines that break down these there's like 7 different kinds of plastic, and then you have different types of metal, and then different types of glass into these separate containers, and then they break them down and they bale them, and then they send them all over. They might send them back to China to maybe remanufacture it. It's really impressive, but we could just wash it and reuse it locally. Like it's
Yeah.
so much. It's literally, if we could do this other stuff with recycling, we can definitely do it with reuse. It's not like a engineering problem. It's like more of a just like a cultural problem and getting people to
Yeah.
want to do this kind of thing.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, like, since we've offered this program, I was like, I don't think anyone's going to want to do it because it's like COVID and we're all like sanitizing. But people like prefer it. I mean, it's so cool to like reuse something, and the bottles will see the same bottle come throughout the store like so many times. It's great.
The I feel like it's easier to do with stuff that's not food, stuff you're not eating, right?
Mm.
Like the returning a container. Like they have the same thing at a co-op where I live in Vermont, which is like Vermont's like got more co-ops maybe than people that live here. It's just like it's so there's so many. But sometimes people they have like a donate bin, the same kind of thing. But I'm not gonna I don't think I'd really want to use someone else's container to put in peanut butter, for instance.
Mm.
Like I wouldn't eat it, but I would like put it on me. I just wouldn't. I don't think I'd ingest it. So
That's fair.
um,
That's fair. The one exception I would say is most of our refill, like the bottles get used for like dish soap and shampoos.
yeah, dish soap. It's like, hey, it's cleaner than when it
Cleaner
left.
anyway, yeah. You're
I
kind of
actually
cleaning it through refilling it.
I
Yeah.
just actually got some dish soap today at the co-op, and so the co-op, I think I don't know if they have much like this in New York, where like I can. This one's amazing. You can get like Israeli couscous or pearled couscous, which is. Have you guys ever had that before?
Hmm.
It's like it's like regular couscous, but like really big. It's like big balls of pasta. Well, it's bigger than regular couscous. I don't know. It's I didn't wasn't planning on talking about this today, so I don't have it with me, but they're delicious. I'll just leave it at that. And then they have honey, maple syrup, bulk maple syrup. That's pretty cool. I really enjoy that. But it's Vermont. You're not.
I'm sure that's plentiful.
Yeah, there's so much maple syrup here.
Yeah.
So you said that the that trip that you had was like how did that relate to you regarding sustainability, and was there like a particular aha moment for you to that you decided to get involved?
Yeah, that was a really big thing for me. I wouldn't have called myself a minimalist for like many years of my life. I was very much like a sentimentality and like objects kind of person. And I like throughout college just collected things and would do like retail therapy and like, just like I don't know, I'd hold on to everything. And then through this trip, I had just one backpack and like five t-shirts and like two pairs of pants. Like I just had nothing. And it's light on my back, so like I'm not buying anything either while I'm there, except for like essentials. Um, and it was just like the most free I've ever felt. It was so cool to just be like, okay, I'm up and I'm leaving, and that's it. I don't have to worry about all this like stuff. And I also just was thinking about how little waste I was producing, just going through the world and you know. So that really like changed something in me, and I wrote a whole article about it on Medium. I wrote like personal essays on my trip too, so I wrote about that.
Hmm.
Called it "The Life-Changing Joy of Minimalism on the Road." And when I came back, yeah, like ever since then, I very rarely buy new things. Like I reuse things. I do a lot of secondhand vintage. I think about things more, not from a guilt perspective. It's just like when you only have five t-shirts, those have to be really good t-shirts. So it's like I just care more about the things that I buy and the quality and like, does this mean something to me? Will this last me like a long time?
Cool. Seems like that trip was really like the pivotal moment for you. You're like, I don't want to carry so much stuff.
Yeah. It was a stereotypical like I found myself in my solo travel kind of vibe.
Well, I've never been on a solo trip. I don't think my wife or my son would be pretty thrilled at this point in my life to go on a solo trip.
It's kind of like once you miss the boat, it's like past. But
Yeah, yeah, I think we're past that. But that's really interesting. What about zero waste in your own life, like currently, not just in Europe? Like, you have your store, so it's pretty easy for you to get your own zero waste things. What about food shopping? How's that look like for you?
yeah, well, we started selling food stuff at the store, like bulk food.
Oh yeah? Oh,
Yeah, we did.
yeah.
Yeah, that was actually why I wanted to move to a bigger store. That's why we like uprooted after 6 months and like moved to a bigger space because like we need food. That's the thing that everyone asks me about is food. So we've got like pasta, spices, teas, things like that. So I do a lot of that. What else do I do? I don't know. I mean, oh, like from a food perspective, I mean that's probably the biggest thing, and just trying like I'm one of those annoying people who like order something on Uber Eats and then like call the restaurant and be like, just want to make sure you're not gonna put in like stuff that I don't need. Um, or like there's some local restaurants where I'll just bring like a reusable container and be like, please humor me and put the food right in here. It's clean. I promise. I just cleaned it. Um,
Have you heard of the skip the stuff bill? Are you familiar with that?
yeah, I feel like it's not really being uh, what's the word? Like, is it working?
Yeah, well, I can
I-
give you an update. That was kind of a leading question, so I could explain
okay.
skip the stuff, unless you were ready to just talk
No,
about
no,
it.
please explain.
So skip the stuff is a bill that was in City Council last year. Essentially, what it says is that right now on any of the platforms, it's usually opt out, which means that you have to click a box and say that you don't want utensils. Even if you click it, they're still putting it in there, and it's just like everyone's myself. I mean, you guys are probably like screaming at the
Like
top of your
30 at
lungs.
home. Yeah.
Ah! I told you not to do it, but it's still in here. I tried everything. Why can't this happen? It's so easy.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm like getting angry just talking about it right now.
Totally.
Yeah, and I'm always in good company at these shows. It's like I get to like vent about these different topics with people who actually care. So. Um, yeah, so this bill makes it so you have to you have to opt in for it. So if you want utensils, you have to check a box, and that the default is no utensils. And there's fines associated if they put it in there and you didn't ask for it. So I would love it if they just didn't do it, but there's this like fine and fee structure that if they do it, they get in trouble, and that's like the law of the land. And so that almost passed. It had a bunch of co-sponsors. De Blasio last minute, there wasn't enough time and didn't make it a priority, and so more or less it didn't pass. But we're going to go after it again. This session. I don't know at what point in the session it's actually going to happen, but anyways, hopefully this year. I mean, you guys should get on board with it. Like any sort of help with promotion and getting the word out and getting people to call their
Totally.
council people about it would be really helpful. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. So yeah, that's definitely a big one. And then there's also there's a couple other things. There's Too Good to Go, which I really love. Have you heard of that?
mm-mm.
So Too Good to Go, you'd like it then. It's basically like local restaurants if they have food or like it's mostly like a bakery has like pastries or like pre-made food at the end of the day that they have not sold. You can get it for like pennies basically. So it's like a food waste diversion way to get food like late at night. And then there's also what's slipping my mind, but it's based in Brooklyn and they do the returnable like containers for takeout.
Deliver Zero.
Deliver Zero, yeah.
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 A quick plug for Rich because he's watching the show. Redish it does reusable containers for offices.
Oh,
So
cool.
like any sort of like cafeterias and office space, they provide it. I would love to see that also with compost. Like I think just everybody should be composting.
Totally.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's easy in Vermont, but it should. I mean, there are services you can just sign up, and it's like not that expensive. So Vokashi is one of them. They were a sponsor here before.
Awesome.
Um, all right, we are going to do the changeover here. Kaylee, thanks so much for your story, and thanks so much for telling us about Earth and Me. Once again, for you guys that are just joining, we have Kaylee Kunkel of Earth and Me, a zero waste store in Astoria, and we have Nina Lassam of Diaperkind. Once again, our sponsors this month are Diaperkind and also Stowe Cider. They have a nice care package for me. They'll have like a sticker on my mug and maybe some cider too. So, anyway, Nina, you're in the hot
Hey,
seat. Are you ready?
and I'm ready, and I will second that Vokashi recommendation. We've been using them for over a year. They're
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Oh
Yep.
cool. Right on. All right. So Nina, where are you calling from tonight?
Calling from Brooklyn. I'm in my kitchen, and yeah, that's where I live.
What part of Brooklyn?
Right now, I live in Bed-Stuy at Nostrand and Fulton, but I've lived. This is my third or fourth apartment. This is my fifth apartment in Brooklyn.
How long have you been in New York?
A while, almost 10 years, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
a
so
little
you're a real
while.
New Yorker.
No, I mean not quite. I think
Oh.
maybe I'm on my ninth year.
So what
Trying
year
to
did you move
remember.
to New York?
I can't recall. I think 2012. So yeah, almost a decade.
Okay. And
Yeah.
where were you before that?
It's in Toronto. That's where I grew up. So I grew up in Toronto. I went to Nova Scotia for undergrad, and I moved back to Toronto to go to grad school.
Okay. So you grew up, sorry, say that one more time. You grew up in Nova Scotia?
No, Toronto. I went to
Okay.
college to undergrad in Nova Scotia, and then I moved back to Toronto.
Okay. And then after that, you moved right to New York?
I worked for a year. Yeah, I worked for a year, and then maybe two, and then I moved. Yeah.
Where did you, what did you go to school for?
For college, I did just, liberal arts degree.
Hmm.
For grad school, I did a degree in the history of the book, which is I think, technically also in the liberal arts camp. And then I did my MBA at NYU.
I got to hear more about history of the book. I mean, I won't spend too much time on it because this is a zero waste story, but can you like elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a program. It's at Massey College, which is a really beautiful part of the University of Toronto, and they have a lot of old printing presses and a lot of interest just in the book as artifact. And I always love to read, and I've always loved physical books, so it's an interesting degree to get. Going to school in Canada. Now that I live in the States and I have kids in the States, it's really different because it's
Hmm.
all public school. They don't have
Hmm.
private college. So you don't, there's not the same pressure on making sure you have an ROI on your degree. You can just go do something cool and learn something, and that's great at the end of it. Maybe it's different now, but that's how it was when I was younger.
So I'm looking to hear like a little bit more about the history of the book. So when did it start?
So the Gutenberg Bible is the first known
Oh,
book.
okay.
And yeah, books were prestige artifacts for a really long time. A lot of wealthy people had books there. Maybe they would have their own press. There's this whole history of the ex libris, which are book plates that a lot of artists would create for wealthy families to kind of have their own distinct library. And it was mostly monks who were writing and transcribing, and it was mostly religious texts. And then when the printing press was invented and they could start producing things at scale, that was really transformative, for the dissemination of information. So it's interesting to think about.
What year are we talking that the first book?
1500s. I forgot the exact year, but the Gutenberg Bibles. Yeah,
It's kind of like
sure I can find that.
when the upright base was invented. Same amount. It's like during the 1500s as well, actually.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, it was a really interesting degree. Very, very, very fun.
Right on. That's
Mhm.
cool. So okay, so we digress from zero waste, but it's okay. We can talk about whatever on the show. Um, okay, so then
1450. There we go. I just found it on Wikipedia. I was
okay.
100 years off. 1450.
So all right. So after you went to school for that, then you got your master's still in Canada.
So that was my graduate degree. It was a
Uh,
1 year degree, and then I moved. So then I worked for a bit, and then I moved to New York. So at the time, my boyfriend, who's still my boyfriend, we live here together. He was at an art school, and the art school had this awesome thing where for $100 you could take the $2 megabus from Toronto to New York, and then you could go see New York. So we started to do that a lot together. We just take this bus. It left at like 10 p.m. You cross the border of Buffalo at 12:30 in the morning, and then you'd get to New York at 6, 7. And this was a long time ago,
hmm.
so it was before the iPhone, or when the iPhone first started. So we would just hang out in diners, and then our hostel would open up. We would throw our stuff down, and then just bounce around New York. So we were doing that like once a month, probably. We were coming down here, and I just decided I really, really wanted to move here. So, being Canadian, I had to go get a visa, and it was complicated and difficult. I actually just got my green card last year, the year before
Yeah.
last year. So, and yeah, and then so I moved, and then he moved. I did kind of, Kaylee, similar to you, just Airbnbs all over the city. Also, kind of tried to figure out where I wanted to live, and then, yeah, and then he moved here, and then we found an apartment. Well, rent controlled 6th floor walk up. So yeah, it's pretty good.
How far how far did you say the trip is from Toronto to New
Well, I
York?
just did it at Christmas. So if you're not taking two children under the age of 3, it is 8 hours. If you are, it is 2 days.
Yeah, you gotta stop. I mean,
Yeah.
how are your kid? How old are your kids?
Owl, my older son, he just turned 3, and my daughter Levy is turning 5 months in a few weeks.
Oh, wow, 5 months, man. What's happening? I
Peak
mean, it's like,
baby.
what's the latest in the development with the 5 month old?
I mean, she's peak baby. She's giggling. She is trying to stand up. She's, you know, what is it called? Tripoding, when they kind of lean forward. She's great. She's peak baby.
Did you like so going from one kid to another? Did you like remember these development phases from
No,
the first one?
remember nothing.
No. Is it easier? Is it harder? Like, what's the deal?
No, it's less, what's sort of bittersweet about it is there's less wonder, with the first kid, they're
Hmm.
so amazing to you because they're yours, and you may have lots of kids in your life. I don't know what either of your situation is, but
I have one baby. He's
you
3.
yeah, so like, kids, or there's kids in your life, but like when it's yours, it's so exciting and you feel like they're the smartest thing that's ever walked the earth. And then you have another one and you're like, okay, there's just less surprise, but it's still special and
Less.
awesome.
Is there also less fear?
No, I'm still pretty worried I'm going to screw up my kids. I think I will worry about that for the rest of my life. Yeah. Someone told me, you'll never sleep well again when you become a parent. You shouldn't think about that stage at the beginning when you can't sleep because they're awake all the time. And, of course we're definitely still dealing with that kind of stuff. But when you're older, it's just, you're worried about different shit. So
Uh-huh. So the worry's constant, just different
the worry is
aspects.
constant. Yeah. So worth
For
it though.
for any of you parents like want to be parents out there, the worry is constant.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, I mean, she's great. It's nice. I mean, just happy to have two healthy kids, but it's nice to have one of each. They're different.
Um, yeah, I'm remembering trying to remember the 5 month old period. I think I'm gonna look at some pictures of that. I looked at a lot of pictures of Theo when he was younger and he was in the diapers because I've been, pitching the show all week to different places and saying like this is what reusable diapers look like, and it was just fun to show off my kid. So that was like kind of a good excuse and to like go back down the rabbit hole because now these days it's so easy to like find like, oh, what he looked like and what was he doing when he was 5 months, like, oh, scroll back to May, June, July, August,
Yeah,
September, October 2019, and like let's see what was happening then, and then I'm gonna write that down.
totally.
October 2019. See how Theo was doing. Okay, so sustainability. Are you just in it for the money, or like how'd you end up? How did you end up here? Like,
How did I end up here? Well, kind of similar to what Kaylee was describing. Canada, a lot like Europe, is just, and the West Coast and some states, it's just kind of ahead of the game. And New York has a lot of garbage. It's it takes a while to get used to when you're coming from somewhere else. And I think a couple things for me that really cemented trying to live with less plastic and less waste was spending a lot of time at the beach. My boyfriend's gotten very into surfing since we moved to New York. We kind of an every weekend expedition to Rockaways. And even in the time that we've been going, which is probably, like I said, 6 or 7 years, the amount of plastic that we see in the water it's really noticeable. And so it just became really real to me. And then I think having kids is definitely a game changer on so many levels. But thinking about what they're going to be living in when they're even just my age really made me have to make a serious change. I mean, I couldn't look them in the eye.
you said you had to make a serious change. Like, what do you mean by that?
Like just taking it more seriously. I think so. Being more conscientious about flights and things that I always thought, well, it's worth the splurge. And like Kaylee, I'm lucky. traveled a bit, so maybe the urge is a little weaker than it was before. But making real decisions and making my life less comfortable for the sake of making it easier later on is something that doesn't it doesn't take as much thought, I guess. I just try to do it more, and it's becoming more and more natural to me to do it.
So, like in your life, I mean, talking about beach plastic, like, are you using less plastic? I mean, you're part of Diaperkind, so I mean,
Yeah.
seems like that's a pretty good contribution.
Well, I mean, I hope so. Certainly trying really hard. But yeah, I mean, the reason I found out about Diaperkind was because I was a customer with my first, and my parents had used cloth diapers services for both myself and my sister. So it
And this
didn't
is in
even,
Canada.
yeah.
Okay, were
Um,
they widely available there?
Yeah, my little sister, she owns a restaurant in Vancouver, and she had the choice. There's three or four that she had the choice to use between in Vancouver. It's just very, it's just it's just different. It's just different.
I found
So
out during one of these like pitch, it wasn't really a pitch session, but it was like, like zero waste meetings, is that apparently New York City used to have a lot more diaper services. Did you know about this? Like maybe like
yeah,
40 years ago or something, they had like before Pampers, like it was pretty common.
well, I mean, yeah, disposable diapers were only invented in 1947. So yeah, um, so yeah, there was a lot of diaper services and a lot. I mean, Diaperkind is going to be 13 years old in a few weeks, and I hope that we're here for another 50, 60 years. Like, I hope that my kids are working there. I hope that this is a business that can support New York and New Jersey for a really, really long time. I know the business in San Francisco has been there it's a family-run business that has been there for years. Same with Portland.
I mean, one of the things I love about Diaperkind is that it's like proof of concept for the circular economy. It's like you guys are
Totally.
you're doing the whole thing. Like, so you're doing the pickup, you're providing the diapers, and then you're doing the pickup, you're washing it, and you're bringing it back. And I mean, I know it's not easy, but at least the concept's simple. Like, it's no harder than recycling, right? Like recycling is way harder. Like we were talking about earlier, you have to do. There's all this processing involved and separation. It has to find a buyer. Like, you're just going through family to family, and just you're washing and reusing them every week. Can you maybe like tell us a little bit about the process of how Diaperkind works and what the business is
Yeah.
like?
So we're in Gowanus, and that's where our washing facility is, and that's where we all work out of. And basically, once you sign up, we will come and drop off a big batch of diapers, usually about 90. And at the beginning of a baby's life, they usually need a diaper change every couple of hours. So that roughly works out to be about 90 a week. And then we will come on a pickup day that's assigned to your family, and we'll pick up the dirty ones and drop off the clean ones. And then we wash them all in our industrial machines, which are really water efficient. So that's a question we get all the time. It's just about the water usage in cloth diapers. So the machines, because they're so industrial, are really, really efficient. And we're able to use all of our soaps are plant-based, but because they're dispensed via mechanical industrial process, so we're able to get the diapers clean in a way that's really great and reassures a lot of parents. But I agree with you, Ben. I think if you're using a service, the cloth diapering is as easy as ordering it on Amazon, and then in New York, a lot of us lives in apartments, and dropping them down a chute or taking them downstairs to the garbage. I mean, instead someone comes and picks them up and drops you off some new ones.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, the motions are the same. It's like nothing
Totally.
different. Like you go down, and it's easier because they're like no one's. I was gonna say no one's stealing the packages.
That's
However, however, Sarah told me this story once that she told me a story about how someone stole the diapers, and
Yeah, it's
then
happened a few
like
times.
some angry like person like called Diaperkind and was like I have all these dirt. What the hell's going on here? I have all these dirty diapers all over my place, and like she secretly was like, "Yes, we found the diapers have been found."
Yeah, well, New York, I mean, I am one of those crazy people who think New York is the greatest city in the world, and why would you live anywhere else? And I'm so committed to New York. So, but yeah, people, see a big bag and they're curious and they want to check it out, and then they're probably quite disappointed when they find out what's inside. But yeah, it happens.
Oh man. Okay, so how many people work for Diaperkind?
Yeah, so there's about 4 full-time staff, and then all of our drivers. A lot of them have been there for 5, 6, 7 even years. A lot of them have. We've got some people who are getting PhDs, and this is kind of a nighttime gig. We've got some people who are parents and take care of their kids during the day, and this is something to do at nighttime. So the drivers kind of run the gamut, and then our laundry crew is also a group of people who've been there, a long time and come in, and we all listen to podcasts together, lots of true crime podcasts, and yeah, it's a pretty great place to work.
Rich has a great question that I'm curious to hear the answer to. This isn't really as much of a Q&A show, but I know Rich, and he's been talking in the chat, so I love, like, he's keeping the ball in the air. He says he sent his kid to he sent his kid to daycare the last 3 months, and the daycare provider wouldn't allow reusable diapers. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. The first thing is they're actually not allowed to say no to you, but I know it's kind of awkward because they're taking care of your kid all day. You don't want to really have an acrimonious relationship with them. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is the rule is in New York City that daycares are not allowed to keep cloth diapers. It's not specific to cloth diapers. It's something about human waste overnight, but that's not a problem with cloth diapers because you would collect them when you pick them up at the end of the school day or the daycare day and bring them home and wash them. So that's sort of, I think, what people either didn't read the rule properly or are using that as an excuse. But what we usually recommend to people is get on good terms with your daycare. You don't want to have a bad relationship with the people who are looking after your kids all day. And then, once you get to know them a little bit more, drop them off in a cloth diaper and give them a stack of disposables and a stack of cloth and just ask them to give it a try. Because, if you've done it, it's really, really easy. So
what's the process? Would you recommend the process would look like for the daycare? Like what would you give them and tell them how to handle it?
Yeah, so you just need a bag to put the dirty diapers in, which is, as I think, for most people, as easy as throwing them in the trash. And then they just need to use the cloth diaper and then a snappy, which is the attacher. It kind of looks like if you've ever sprained your ankle or twisted your wrist and had a tensor bandage, it's kind of like these little teeth on these this little hooks, and they hold the diaper together, and then a cover. So it doesn't take any more time than doing it.
Let me ask you, would you ever consider going to daycares and giving them a tutorial?
Totally. Yeah, we'd love to do that.
That could be fun. I think that would be a good way to get the relationship a little bit more oh, I get it, and less fearful. Because I mean, when we had our baby, I was scared. We got our diapers before he was born, which was kind of funny. It's all right, here's your set of diapers. You got to know how to use this, and he's screaming, and we don't know what's happening, and yeah, being a parent is you're just terrifying. I always thought it was funny, my wife had a fairly long labor. It was maybe it was over 24 hours. It's very long, and they had and then there's always someone there taking care of you. You press a button, and someone's there to at your beck and call, and then the baby's born, and then you get shoved in the room with someone else, and then they're having a crying baby, and we're having a crying baby, and then there's people coming in. It's kind of little pandemonium, and then maybe you still have the button to call in a nurse or if you need help or anything, and then 24 hours after that or less, 12 hours after that, they're all right, you're done, see you later, and you're gonna leave me alone with this baby? It's well, I'm negligence. This is negligence.
And I bet you were great, right? Once you get going with everything.
Once you get going, it's fine. But I was, man, trying to figure out the stroller, when we were leaving, it's oh my God.
Yeah, my boyfriend bought a car the day that our son was born. He was we can't do this. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, like, are taxi cabs like taking, like, are they used to taking people home from the hospital? Like, people must be
Yeah,
doing that a lot. Like, and like
all the time.
they're like, oh, we know how to like do the car seat and everything.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think that they.
it must be happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in New York for sure.
So you've been in New York for like for almost 10 years. So you had both your kids while you were in New York, right?
Yeah, they're both American. Yeah,
Cool. What
but we'll get them their Canadian passports so they can go to school up there.
is that? Was that the plan?
Yeah, yeah,
Like for college, or this is for
yeah,
like?
for college. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk a little bit more about zero waste, like in your own life. Do you feel like uh, day to day, like, do you go into co-ops and trying to find like zero waste options, or you're like, what's it like for you?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much like Kaylee described, I think we're all just doing the best we can when we can. And New York is awesome. So there is tons of stuff available here for people who are trying to do this. I think I carry reusable forks and straws and cups and water cups
Hmm.
and all of that stuff. So my bag is full. And I do it for myself and for my kids. And yeah, you just kind of get used to it. And I think, Kaylee, you probably traveled more recently than I did throughout Europe, but a lot of countries, that's really normal to just carry your own utensils around.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I know in Australia, in Byron Bay, they have this program where they have these reusable coffee cups, and all the cafes are connected, and so that you just always have access to a reusable cup. So yeah, I think once you get going, it's pretty easy.
All right, this is gonna be a fun new tradition, I think. Can you guys like shout out some other reusable company that you're really into, and say why and what they do?
Well,
Kaylee,
I already. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You
Kaylee,
go
why don't you
first.
go?
I have so many like vendors. You go first. Let me think about
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm a big fan of Vokashi. I think that they're awesome. I use them all the time. I also do, I like to shop. I like clothes a lot. So I am a big local thrift store person. There's a couple in the East Village that I've been going to since I was a visitor to New York. And then I also do a lot of shopping on the Real and eBay and ThreadUp and all of those places. So that works pretty well for me. I'm trying to think what's something else I've been using a lot really successfully. Well, I will say, I'm not really a big order my groceries online person, but I did find I guess right before Christmas, someone told me, and I did it, and it was great, that if you're using Fresh Direct, they have a farmer's box that you can get delivered to you that doesn't have any plastic in it. So, instead of signing up for a farm share, which I am not always organized enough to do, or if you're just going to be away a lot for some weekends and so it doesn't make sense to do it, having your farmer's box delivered to your door through Fresh Direct, kind of on demand. I thought that was pretty impressive that they had that option. I think it's
Sorry,
Lancaster Farms.
what's a farmer's box?
like
Oh,
yeah,
it's just local produce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah. That was actually a lead into mine. I wanted to shout out two CSAs, Local Roots in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Awesome
they're good.
stuff. And then I use now the Connected Chef. They have, and it's based in Queens. They're based in Queens. Kim Colicchio is like the founder, and they have a Lifeline box. So you pay to get a box, and then like a neighbor in need gets another box of like fresh
Oh, that's
produce.
cool.
But usually it's cool. We get the box and we just jump it out, and it's like all this like loose produce. So it's very satisfying. It's very little, if any, plastic. So that's one of my shout outs. And then I'll also shout out some of my zero waste store buddies throughout the boroughs. There's La Nature in Park Slope in Brooklyn, which is a great store. My friend Haley opened that. Like, oh, you know that one, Ben?
Yeah, yeah. She was on the show like a month,
Oh, nice.
like
Yeah.
a few months ago.
Haley's great. We were chatting about like we have this like little group chat with like all these store owners, and we just like give each other tips, and like it's a good vibe. And then Eco Bronx, my friend Randall owns that in the Bronx. They're mobile. They were raising money to open like a mobile refillery. So go support them. They're awesome. Refill Room, Hastings is another one. Yeah, there's a lot. So zero waste store friends, and then we just got a lot of cool like vendors at our store who just like really care about sustainable small batch stuff. So cannot list them all, but if you go on our website, you can find them.
Banner scrolls down the bottom.
Yeah.
Check out Earth and Me website. Check out Diaperkind website. I'll get that figured out.
Another, Oliver Flynn, they, I've been at the Fort Greene Farmers Market a lot, and they do, they're who I buy my bar soaps and shampoo and all of those things from. And they have a plastic-free lip balm that I really like that I use as well. They're a nice local business.
What does it use if it's not plastic?
Just cardboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fun fact that most of the paper that goes to the paper mill in Staten Island gets recycled into pizza boxes.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's kind of the only food that reliably comes in not plastic containers.
Yeah.
Is pizza. Yeah.
I mean,
That's so true. I thought that the other day. I was like, pizza is the most sustainable thing you can order. They never use utensils. It's like,
you're either compost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no utensils. They're not throwing in unless you're Bill de
Nothing.
Blasio.
Box.
They're not throwing
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
fork and knife in there.
Yeah. And no plates. They don't give you plates
Yeah.
or even
Oh.
napkins, actually.
And then, sort of aside from food, I just remembered I wanted to talk about Big Reuse is great.
Mhm.
I get a lot of like furniture stuff there.
Yeah, they're
And then
great.
Remix Market in Long Island City, they're part of the junk luggers. Where I don't know if you know about that. It's like a very green,
know
like
them, yeah.
hauling service. And then if they can salvage things like furniture pieces and stuff, decor, they bring it to Remix Market where you can buy it secondhand, really good prices. And I think some of the money goes towards building housing and other like community projects.
Yeah, the Big Reuse is our neighbor in Gowanus. They're amazing. I get all my pots from them for gardening and stuff. They always have a ton.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. We
And
just
they
bought it-
helped me. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. They helped you what?
They helped me figure out about compostable diapers in New York because I was confused about what you were allowed and weren't allowed to do. And so the only way to compost diapers in New York is if you have brown bin pickup, which is not every area, and then if they're unused because they can't compost human waste. So you could put an unused compostable diaper into a brown bin,
What's an unused compostable diaper?
like that hasn't been on your kid.
But
So
like,
hopefully you wouldn't even need to get rid of that.
but there are compostable diapers, is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's compostable diapers, but the kind of the problem, it's not a closed loop system like you were talking about earlier. So, and the issue is similar to compostable coffee cups. I know someone in the comments is talking about Cup Zero, but compostable cutlery, it's actually not compostable in New York.
Oh, really? Compostable cutlery is not? Even if it's
Yeah,
BPI certified?
Yeah.
Huh. That's a fun fact. I'm actually starting the show, hopefully, like doing a pilot for this show next week called What Bin Does It Go In? And it's a show where like people bring it, like collect their trash for a week and then ask someone from Sims like what bin it goes in. Like, is this plastic? Is this is this the metal glass plastic? Is this the paper bin? Like, what do I do with this kind of thing?
The Sanitation Foundation has a good thing going with that too. You should check it
I
out.
saw that. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
I saw something on Instagram. That looked pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Rich pointed out the little plastic triangles. You're right, or tripods to keep the box up. That's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
True. The little tables. That's what we got pizza the other night, and like we had them be like, oh, it's a little table, and he would put like little things on it, and be like, all right, you want to put something on the table? Oh, there's a funny. You guys follow that Instagram? Like what is New York or something? Have you seen that? I don't know if I can find it quickly, but it was just like pizza fails where like people would carry pictures of people in the subway like holding a pizza like vertically like under their arm and then like in between their legs in the subway. It's like, what are you doing?
Oh, New York. I think it should be like a John Wilson skit or something. You guys watch that show?
No.
Oh, it's so funny. It's John Wilson. It's just like footage of like the most obscene New York moments, and he tells like a story over top of the footage. It's really a must watch.
John what?
It's like what's something with John Wilson?
John Wilson. I'm sure if I look up John Wilson, I'll
Oh,
find
How
it.
To with John Wilson.
Okay.
It's like an iconic New York.
Well, this is so much more comfortable than Instagram. Like, I'm at a computer, I'm at a desk. I don't have like a.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at this for like 1 hour straight and like worrying about like if things are coming through or not. This is so much better. Probably gonna wrap up here. Once again, tonight we have Kaylee Kunkel of Earth and Me, a zero waste store in Queens, and we have Nina Lassam of Diaperkind, a reusable cloth diaper service based in Brooklyn, but it's available all over New York City, right?
You
And
got it.
also the New York section of New Jersey.
Yeah, certain zip codes. Email us
Okay.
if you live there. We'll
Cool.
we'll help you out.
Diaperkind is a sponsor for this month, and also Stowe Cider is. They're part of the Reusable Can Carrier project in Vermont, and hopefully we get this happening in New York soon. I'm going to play one more song to play you guys out for the night, but thanks again to everybody so much for tuning in and watching the show. So happy this is back on the air. I have something to look forward to every Wednesday. This one is going to be it's a song called I Tried. Read every book he could get his hands on. Went to the streets and held a sign. Called up his local politicians. Trying to defend the 99. Took his money out the bank of evil. Put it where it might do some good. He's writing letters signed in petitions, making sure his voice is understood. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. Did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. And he hopes that you might too. He took his money out the bank of evil, put it where it might do some good. He's writing letters signed in petitions, making sure his voice is understood. Outsourced his ethics to the co-op, and all the same. Votes with his dollars and his conscience. What's changed the world is anybody's game. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. Did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. And he hopes that you might too. See if I can remember the words to the rest of this one. I didn't prepare at all for this song. No, there are people that are out there saying climate change, it ain't real. That fills him with rage and conviction. So he signed the Green New Deal. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. Did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. And he hopes that you might too. At the end of his journey, he'll take stock of what occurred before, tally up the good and the bad, even if he's the only one that's keeping score. He could throw in the towel, confide into what they're falsifying, turn the blind eye to the truth. But he says, hell, I would rather die trying. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. Did everything he could do. Tried, yeah, he tried. And he hopes that you might too. much, everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. Bye.